Hello and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. My name is Greg Deckler, and today we're continuing our Power BI Alternatives series. And this time we're taking a look at Sigma, which I'm sure they are not happy that the meme going around of what the Sigma, right? So unfortunately for them. But you can watch this little video they got playing on the homepage of the website. Um, I will say that this product looks interesting. Um, I would probably like to do a deeper dive on this product, but they only well, I won't get into it. They offer a free trial. They do not provide their pricing right. They have a lot of interesting features. They're definitely targeting like Power BI, Tableau, Looker, right? So on their website, if you go to more, they have comparison, right? So if you go to the comparison page for Power BI. They have things like Always Live. I'm not sure why this is called multiplayer collaboration. I don't know if they think this is like they're playing Halo here or what they're doing exactly. I don't know why it's multiplayer and not like multi-author or something. Not quite sure about that one. But anyway, they have write back, right? Real-time support, multimodal, spreadsheet ease. They go into even more. So they have like spreadsheets, they have dashboards, right? Data apps, what they call data apps. Not quite sure what a data app is, but looks like you can do things like they do support write back, so maybe you can like have some forms and be able to do write back and things like that and change things up. And they do support embedding for like embedding into, I guess, other applications and that sort of thing. Um, and then they go into a much more detailed and there's some valid the whole like this versus that, but there are some valid points that they make in here. um they have like pivot tables, limited native functionality. That's for damn certain. The core of matrix visual kind of blows. Right back they're like, I know that's been announced for Power BI, but I have to dig into that more. I really think it's been announced for Fabric, technically, not Power BI. So if write back requires Fabric, then I don't really care. Because that's just adding an expense that you wouldn't necessarily need otherwise. So it goes through and has some decent comparisons and that, and they do have a free trial. So you sign up for the free trial, and then I have signed up for the free trial, and they are so generous. They give you a 7 day free trial. So I just signed up for this. Usually it's 30 days, but these guys you better get your shit done in 7 days, or you're out of luck apparently. And so the first thing, of course, I skipped the tutorials and all that sort of stuff and just fumbled around in this thing. But one of the first things that I noticed that I thought was interesting, and I've seen this in a number of the products as well, is that when you go to do new connections, they don't have a ton of connections, one, right? But two, the other thing that I noticed is they don't have SQL Server and they don't have Fabric specifically. And that's something that I think is interesting, as I looked at this. It's like you really do have, whether or not it's a big thing to you or not, but you really do have vendor lock-in when it comes to Fabric to a large degree, because a lot of these tools that are out there that you could use for reporting and analytics and that they have no native Fabric um, capabilities at all. So you're really locked into what Fabric provides you, because all these other tools out there in the market, they don't support Fabric, and I don't think they really have any plans to support Fabric, to be quite honest. I mean, what is in it for these third-party tools, right? In terms of why would they go and create a connection to Fabric? Because the odds are, if you have Fabric, you're using Power BI for your reporting and analytics and that sort of thing. And so there's no point, there's no incentive for these people to build any kind of interface or integration into Fabric. Unlike like with Snowflake and Databricks and things like that, and Redshift, BigQuery, right, which are more, right, your data analytics platform. They specialize in being data warehousing, data engineering, all of that, the back end stuff, versus having the reporting capabilities in that, which to some degree Microsoft sort of locked themselves out of anybody wishing or caring to support their platform. You're totally siloed and isolated within Microsoft Fabric, essentially, is what I'm getting at. So I found that kind of interesting. I was going through this. Um, they do provide you the ability to upload a CSV. So they don't. That's so you can either connect to a data warehouse or upload a CSV. Now, the uploading a CSV is not the most pleasant experience. So I can't use an Excel file, XLSX file. Geez, but I was able to use avocado prices. But just let me give you a sense of the experience here. So it parses the file, brings it up very quickly, right? But you can see it's got this warnings, and it's basically it's oh these things don't are not numbers or whatever it happens to be, right? And it does identify this as a date, and numbers and text and all that sort of stuff. So okay, so you're like, oh well, my CSV file has headers. So I say it contains headers. It doesn't recognize the headers, like the header names. It just gives them column one, column two, column three, column four. I couldn't find any way of having it, you know, call these things anything different than what they are here. The interesting thing is if you try to rename these here, which it does allow you to do, it just goes off into la la land. This thing just spins and spins and spins and spins. So don't do that. You have to kind of go to this explore, as I recall. Go to this explore, and it should bring up this right here. And then what you do is then you rename these things here, and call it like, date essentially. And then it renames it. But you don't want to do it on the previous screen, which would make sense to some degree. But would make even more sense if it would actually recognize the damn column headers, and you didn't have to thank God this only has 14 columns, right? Because I can rename these pretty easily. But if you had anything, wide, like a 30 column table or something like that, good freaking luck. Because it was pain enough to just rename the 14 that I had here. So that's kind of crappy in terms of Sigma and its handling of CSV files. You would think that to be able to get headers right. And it leads me to kind of question a little bit in terms of, well, how good is the data connections to like a Databricks or to a Snowflake? Maybe it works better than the CSV, but that kind of stuff, when I see kind of a solid miss like that with something that should be simple, it usually makes me concerned about the rest of the product. So now what you do is, and what you can do is you can sit here and go add element. So it's kind of weird with the CSV. It brings it in, it saves it as like a document. You don't get to save it as like a table or anything like that. It saves it as a document. I couldn't find any way to save it as anything else. So you save it, save as, and it brings up this little interface of where to save it. I've already got avocados right there. So I'm not going to do that. I'll just bring up the one that I have. But then you would go in here and add element, and then you can drag and drop these different elements and things like that, like sliders and visualizations and pivot tables and stuff like that, which I've already done in this guy. So as you can see, I've I renamed my columns because it is too stupid to recognize my column headers, right? And then I was able to create this like bar chart and this line chart, and those were pretty easy. So I can go to edit, um, and then I go to this add element, right? And then I can add a visualization. I can drag it over here. I can select the source, which is my new input table. So it's interesting that you can actually, when you have the sources, the other visualizations can be sources to the next visualization, right? Which is kind of interesting. And you can do joins from here and things like that. I haven't really gotten into a bunch of this stuff, but like a new bar chart, but then I can switch this to be, hey, I can make this, a KPI, an area chart. Let's go with a KPI here, and we'll just do total volume. Can I just drag that over here? No, I'm gonna have to drag it up here. So there you go. That's the total volume, 15 billion, 0.5, whatever. I don't know what the metric is. But, and then I'm assuming like from here, like, and you can do certain things like average price, let's say. I thought I was doing some stuff like there were some things you could do for like conditional formatting. Yeah, there's like fill color. I couldn't really get the text color. Okay, that did work with the fill color. So then if I do my text color and I say text color is green, okay. For some reason that was not, I was having problems getting that to work earlier. it wasn't really doing the text and that sort of thing. And then I thought somewhere in here there was conditional formatting, or there was a way to get it to display data bars and things like that. Let me look. Data validation, conditional formatting. Yeah, I was playing around with this color scale data bars. Here we go. Data bars. Yeah, there we go. So, I mean, you can do some, some interesting thing. Obviously, this is god awfully ugly. But, can you create the sort of things easily that you can create with Power BI? I would say in general, yes. Do I have access to, Power Query and complex data transformations and DAX and complex data calculations? It doesn't seem like it, although I think they did mention somewhere about, some kind of calculation capabilities and things like that. And again, I have not played around with this a ton, and I definitely am not going to get to, because they only give me 7 days to really mess with it. But I'll try to play with it as much as I can in the meantime. And yeah, I need to publish this. Go to publish version. It all seems very quick. I mean, not that the avocados data set at 20,000 rows or so is all that big. I would like to have done it with like the parking data set, but it's an XLSX file. I guess I could maybe try to save that as a CSV and then import it, and then get frustrated that I have to rename all my columns, right? Maybe I'll try that over the weekend, because that still falls within my 7 days. But yeah, so for as much as I've spent, half hour, 45 minutes just poking around at this thing, it looks pretty intriguing. It looks like me as an end user could go in here, load up, some data and create some visualizations off of it, and then you can share it with other people. So like they have this up here, they have this share, and I can share it with other people in my organization. I can invite people, invite users. There's an administration section that I've not taken a look at all, which is, yeah, are you going to allow people to upload CSVs, things like that, tenant settings, if you will. So yeah, it looks like an interesting platform. It looks pretty easy to use. Definitely, I would say, covers a lot of what Power BI covers, in terms of, if we look back at, what is Power BI. It looks like it's doing something in terms of loading up that CSV in a local data model, although the other stuff, it looks like it's more live querying of the databases, when you connect to like a Redshift, or connect to BigQuery or something like that, Databricks, Snowflake. So it'd be interesting. I don't really have a lot of that at my disposal to mess around with, but it'd be interesting to see what that does. This is kind of interesting this year. That's kind of interesting. I'd have to edit it, and then like it decided it was a decimal, so it's got the floating point stuff there. So I'd have to see if I can convert that to be an integer. I wonder if I can do that right now. Seems like an odd choice. I didn't catch that before. I don't know why that edit icon is sitting there. So let's see. Can I transform? Nope. Set change column type. Nope. It's a number. So I guess I would just have to take the decimals. There, I just had to hit it one time, and it fixed it. Okay. All right. Well, that's not the end of the world. It's a little bit odd that it decided that the year was a decimal number. Whatever. Anyway, that's all I had for this video. It looks interesting. Might play with it a little bit more. Maybe come out with another video on it. There's definitely annoying things about it, but that's all I had for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.